Good afternoon, everyone. Kindly update if you are able to hear properly so that we could start up with the session without wasting time. Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Kindly just send the stickers on the chat box so that we could start up with the session. These are some of the important MCQs of control and coordination. So yes, these are some of the important MCQs of Control and Coordination Class 10th. Some are MCQ based questions while one or two are figure based questions which are a little difficult to solve and the students easily get confused. So yes, we will be discussing some of them. The very first questions, as you can see it on the screen, it says that electrical impulse travels in a neuron from. So yes, we know that neuron or the nerve cell, what its structure looks like, what are the different components in the neuron. And yes, electrical impulse, or what is electrical impulse? The message. So the message which is traveling in the neuron or in the nerve cell starts from which part of the neuron and ends up to which. So these are certain important parts which you could observe. Yes. So which is the correct option among the four? You need to think and tell. So you need to tell whether the impulse travels from, as the first part says, dendrites to axon, then axonal end, and then the cell body. Second part, cell body to dendrite, then to axon, and further to axonal end. C is dendrites, then cell body, followed by axon and axonal end. And the last is axonal end, then to axon, cell body, and dendrites. So I hope these four terms which are used in these MCQs are clear to you, or the neuron structure. So yes, first of all, I would like to explain the neuron structure to you. If you could see it on the screen or understand the concept, this is the neuron, and the branch-like structures are called as dendrites. Then the star shaped body is the cell body, also called as cyton. Moving ahead, we have a long, thin structure called as axon, and at the last, we have axonal end, or the ending of the neuron. So, if you could see this pattern now, and then you could correlate which is the correct passage or the path from which the nerve impulses travel. So, yes, think and update. Correct. The correct answer is C, that is dendrites. From dendrites, we have cell body, followed by axon and axonal end. This is the correct answer, and that is the C one. Moving ahead to the next question, you could see this question has been a part of boards once or twice. So if you could see, there are four parts shown on the screen, that is A, B, C, and D. These are the different parts shown. You just need to name which part is shown by which alphabet. So A, B, C, and D are the four parts. Think. First of all, you must know that this is the diagram of reflex arc. What does this diagram show? This diagram shows reflex arc. So when this is the diagram of the reflex arc, you need to tell me what are the different parts showing. Okay, so A shows that the message is going to the B. Now you need to tell what is A, what is B. C is showing that the message is coming, and D is actually the part where the message has received. So you need to be very careful what is A, B, C and D. So first of all, I would like to explain you with a situation. You could see over here in this diagram that the message is going to the, or this is a reflex arc, so the message goes to the spinal cord. So yes, if you have touched a hot object or the hot candle, the message is taken by sensory neuron. If you could notice, sensory neuron over here, they are responsible for taking the message. The message is taken over this part, that is the spinal cord, and we know the neurons present in the spinal cord are the relay neurons. Further, relay neurons think and tells what message has to be given and delivered back. So motor neurons are the neurons which are bringing the message to the part which needs to work. For example, our hands needs to go back, so the muscles. And D is the last one where the action has occurred, where the hand or whichever object we have touched. So D is the effector. So the four parts the question is asking, as you could see and I have explained. A is the neuron which is taking the message. So A is sensory neuron. B, if I'll talk about, yes, what is A? A is sensory neuron. These are the neurons which are responsible for taking the information to the brain or the spinal cord. B is the spinal cord, and the specific neurons present in the spinal cord are the relay neurons, whereas the C are the neurons which are bringing back the information. C is the motor neuron. And at the last, D are the effectors, where the information has occurred. D is the effector. So these are the four important labelings which you must know. And yes, this question has been a part of both, so it is important, and it is quite often seen in the test and the exams. So you must know the labeling and the different parts properly during reflex arc. Reflex arc is the path taken during reflex actions, the random actions. So yes, abhi I have explained to you the reflex arc. Now the question is related to it itself. You need to tell me among the four options which is the correct sequence of the components of a reflex arc. If you could notice, there are four options: A, B, C and D. So among these four options, which is the correct path? A, receptors. Receptors are giving information to muscles, then sensory neuron, motor neuron, and finally to the spinal cord. Or B says like it's receptors, then motor neuron, passing the message to spinal cord, sensory neurons and muscles. C is the receptors are giving information to spinal cord, then the information is going to sensory neuron, motor neuron and muscle. And the last is receptors are giving information to sensory neurons. Sensory neurons are giving to spinal cord, further to motor neuron and muscle. So if you could conclude which is the correct option. Yes, many of you have answered correct. As shown in the picture and explained right now, first the information is taken by receptors, then they give it to sensory neuron. Sensory neuron then give it to relay neuron. Then the information is brought back by the motor neuron to the effector. So this is the correct passage, and the information is shown in the option D. So D is the correct option. Receptors are giving information to the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron are passing it to the spinal cord. Spinal cord is giving it to the motor neuron, and finally the muscle is putting the hand back. The next question is regarding the functions of the human brain. So the posture and balance of the body is controlled by, we know there are so many parts in the brain. If you all have studied about the human brain, posture and balance is controlled by which of them? A, is it cerebrum? B, cerebellum? C, medulla? Or D, pons? Among the four options or the 4 parts of the brain which is responsible for maintaining the posture and balance. Okay, so working of human brain is a complex process and you need to know about different parts. Here on the screen you could notice the function of midbrain and hindbrain. And yes, hindbrain itself is divided into the 3 parts, that is pons, cerebellum and medulla. You could take the screenshot of these functions as these are very important, and one word question will be asked giving you the function and asking you about the part of the brain. For example, if you could notice right now, it's one of the type which I've asked you, the maintains the posture and balance of the body. So which part is it? It is cerebellum, as discussed in the question over here. But there can be other questions which can be asked. Which part of the brain is responsible for involuntary actions such as breathing? Then you need to write medulla. So kindly take the screenshot of this particular image which is displaying on the screen so that you could learn the important functions of different parts of the brain. So yes, right now we have discussed that the posture and balance is basically controlled by cerebellum, and that's correct. Moving ahead to the next question. Moving off shoot towards the light. Now yes, we know a plant body has 2 main components, root and shoot. Shoot is present above the soil and roots are present below the soil. And we know the plant or the shoot of the plant move towards light. What specific name is given to this type of movement? A, is it geotropism? It's hydrotropism. C, it's chemotropism. Or D, it's phototropism. Which correct option is telling about it? Yes, it's D, phototropism. And see how we could explain it. See, if you could check out that in this picture itself, it's quite clear how the shoot is bending towards the sunlight. And there is one more important question which asks that which hormone is responsible for this movement. So you always need to remember auxin. Auxin is a plant hormone which works in the presence of light. So the question comes, name the hormone which works in the presence of light. So that's auxin, and it helps in bending. So it's mentioned over here as well that auxin moves to the dark side and helps the area to grow faster. So the movement of plant towards the light is phototropism. Okay, now roots are moving away from the light. So remember, it's an example of negative phototropism. Phototropism can be divided into 2, positive when it is towards the sunlight, negative when it is away from the sunlight. Okay, the next question. It's again regarding to one of the plant hormones. The main function of abscisic acid in plants is to. So there are certain functions in the abscisic acid. What is the main function of abscisic acid in plants? A, it's to increase the length of the cells. B, it's to promote cell division. C, it's to inhibit growth. And D is promote the growth of stem. So increase the length of the stem, basically they are responsible for increasing the height. B, promote cell division, that means they're helping one cell to divide further to 2 and then 2 to 4. This is the chain. Next, inhibit growth means stopping or retarding the growth of the plant. And D, it's helping to promote the growth of the stem. It's helping in stem growth. So yes, there is a table again which I would like to discuss with you. These are 5 main important plant hormones. Some are plant growth regulators while the others are plant growth inhibitors. So you could learn that abscisic acid and ethylene just help in retarding the growth in the plant, whereas auxin, gibberellins and cytokinins are helping in increasing the plant or growth of the plant. So as the question says right now, that you need to tell which is the plant growth inhibitor or the inhibitor hormone. So abscisic acid, or the question is asked what is the function of abscisic acid? It helps to inhibit the growth. Inhibit means control the growth. Moving ahead to the next one. Yes, now this is from human hormones, or basically the hormones present in the animal. So you need to select the mismatched pair. Okay, there are 4 options. You need to tell which is the incorrect one. A. Adrenaline to pituitary gland. B. Testosterone to testes. C. Ovary to estrogen. And then thyroid gland is responsible for secreting thyroxine. So there is one of the part which is not apt. Yes. So if we'll discuss, pituitary gland is responsible for secreting GH, also called as growth hormone. So pituitary gland is responsible for secreting growth hormone, and adrenaline is secreted by adrenal glands. So this is the mismatched pair. While testes are responsible for secreting testosterone is the correct. Ovaries also release estrogen, that's correct. And thyroid gland secretes thyroxine, that's also correct. So the mismatched pair is A1. Students, this is an important table again. You need to learn each and every gland and the hormone it is secreting and the function they are performing. These are very important for your exams point of view and even for the boards as well. So yes, we know in our body we have endocrine glands which are only responsible for secreting hormones. So if the question comes which gland is responsible for secreting hormones, these are the endocrine glands. So all these are the endocrine glands which you could see. Pituitary gland is responsible for secreting growth hormone, thyroid gland for thyroxine, parathyroid for hormone, adrenal for adrenaline, pancreas for insulin, testes for testosterone, and ovaries are responsible for secreting 2, estrogen and progesterone. So you can take the screenshot. This is an important table for boards as well. Moving ahead to the next one. Yes, you need to know which gland is located in which part of the body, as the labeling is important. So first of all, I'll give you a very important differentiation between pineal gland and pituitary gland. If you could notice on the screen, see, pineal gland are always in the mid part of the brain, which is written towards the left side. And pituitary gland, these are also in the brain, but at the bottom or the base of the brain. Then we have thyroid gland, which is near the windpipe, followed by thymus near the division of lungs, then pancreas. Adrenal glands are on the top of each kidneys, and then testes are in the males, whereas ovaries are in the female. So again, you can take the screenshot, learn the labeling of each and every important gland. Okay, there's one more. Yes, first of all, we'll be discussing this question. You need to tell me the important endocrine glands which we have discussed right now. So tell me, which gland is located at A? A is in the mid of the brain, and presently I have discussed the gland which is located at the mid of the brain. You need to name the gland. And then B is the gland which is located at the base of the brain. So yes, A is the pineal gland, and followed by B. B is the pituitary gland, which is at the base of the brain. Okay, C, we have thyroid gland, which is at the neck. B we have discussed right now. And then towards the bronchi, we have thymus. So you need to learn this. A is pineal, which is in the mid of the brain. B is pituitary, which is at the base of the brain. C is the thyroid, which is near the neck region, and D is thymus, which is over here where the lungs just divide into bronchi. So remember students, this pineal gland is basically responsible for controlling the sleep or sleep monitoring of the human body. The next question. In the figure A, B, and C, which appears to be more accurate and why? Now you could notice these three figures A, B, and C. Think and respond which is the correct according to you. Okay. If we could compare the three, you could easily observe in the A, the roots are growing towards the ground. The shoot is growing upward towards the sun. The B, roots and shoots both are growing towards the sun. And in the C1, both are moving downwards. Both the root and the shoot are moving towards gravity. But as we know, the roots always move towards gravity and is called as geotropism or positive geotropism, whereas the above part of the plant, that is the shoot, is growing towards the sun and it is showing phototropism. So the shoot is growing upwards in the A1 and the root is coming downwards. So A is the most appropriate. Moving ahead to the next one. Okay, we have already discussed about the labeling of the neuron. You need to label the correct names to A, B, C, and D. Okay, so one by one, what does A present? Up in the starting, the very first question I taught you about it. A are the branch-like structures. So yes, these branch-like structures are called as dendrites. What are they called as? Dendrites. B is the star-shaped body, also called as cell body or cyton. C is the long thread-like structure which is responsible for transferring the impulse, called as axon, and D is the cell ending or basically called as axonal ending. So these are the four important labelings and you must know how to draw the structure of the neuron yourself. It can come to draw as well. So keeping the time precise, this is the last question for today's session, which needs to be done carefully. We have already learned some of the endocrine glands today in this session as well, and you all might know previously. So you know the functions of the glands. You need to guess which endocrine gland we are talking about or the hormone secreted by them. So the first question says, which hormone is responsible for the changes noticed in females at the puberty? So remember, they're asking the hormone. So you are not supposed to write the gland. Be careful. If they're asking hormone, just write hormone. So yes, which hormone is responsible for changing in females or bringing the changes in female? That's the estrogen. Which is the correct hormone? That is estrogen. Moving ahead to the next one. Dwarfism results due to the deficiency of which hormone? So yes, we know that the pituitary gland is responsible for secreting growth hormone. And if growth hormone is released in excess, it leads to great height called as gigantism. And now we are talking about dwarfism, means the height reduction. And dwarfism results due to the deficiency of growth hormone. What is the correct answer? Growth hormone. Now we have C part. Blood sugar level rises due to the deficiency of which hormone? So we know that we have pancreas which are responsible for secreting insulin. If insulin is not secreted in correct amount, it leads to deficiency and it leads to diabetes basically. So blood sugar level rises due to the deficiency of insulin. Last one. Iodine is necessary for the synthesis of which hormone? So iodine is necessary means our body needs to have proper amount of iodine, or our diet needs to have proper amount of iodine, which we get from usually common salt. So why is iodine necessary, or which hormone production needs iodine? So that's thyroxine. Thyroxine production needs the iodine. So that's all for today's session. Thank you for giving your precious time. I hope you have learned something new. Have a good day.